Hey, welcome to another edition of Lessons from Mentors. And I'm recording this in St. Paul, Minnesota, because I just spent 3 days and still will have breakfast with one of my best friends and someone who I'm co-authoring a book with. His name's Chris Ross. He's the CIO at Mayo Clinic. And just over the years, we got to know each other and become friends. And we realized, over dinner, it was quite interesting how we are so different, but yet we are at the same place in terms of leadership and just different attributes. And so it's kind of fun to talk to someone like that because it's someone who you aspire to be, but did it in a different way so that you can learn. And it just made me think about a lesson from a mentor, and that was iron sharpens iron. So that's taken out of Proverbs 27:17, I think. But basically, it's like, as iron sharpens iron, right? If you're going to sharpen iron, the only thing that sharpens iron is iron. And it talks about like, so two friends can sharpen one another. And it's important. So, really, the lesson is to have that kind of friend in your life, that iron who's going to sharpen you. And if you think about the act of sharpening, it's not like always a pleasant, lovey dovey act. It can be a violent act. So to me, I interpret that as I need someone who's going to get in my face, who's going to disagree with me, who's not afraid to say something contrary, who's not afraid to represent a different idea. And we actually did that through the writing of our book. I mean, we spent a couple of years writing this book together, and there were things, again, the outcome was we both head in the same direction, same vision, but the way we get there is different. And so he would like challenge me. It's like, what do you talk about, Chris? I get frustrated, and I did the same with him. But in the end, it made us both better. And so that's really the point, is find someone like that in your life. And maybe you'll have more than one, but it's all about iron sharpen iron. The other thing, yeah, you get these new ideas, challenge your current belief systems, get new ideas. It's amazing. Especially, you got to be careful as you grow older and more mature. You can become hardened in your ways. And that's a dangerous thing. You all know you can't teach an old dog new tricks, the type of thing. And a lot of that's sort of true. But if you want to be a great leader and a great person, you need to always be humble to think and believe that you can and probably need to change. So be super open. There's can be two different types of people, and this is from another mentor, but it's similar, and why I'm bringing the two together. There's life givers and life takers. And I know that sounds kind of harsh to say, there's only two personas. Of course, there's deviations of each of those. But generally, there's givers and takers. And if I ask you right now, it'll pop to your mind, who are the givers in your life and who are the takers? And your job as a person, to the extent that you can, it's a little bit harder in the workplace, but not really, but maybe a smidgen, but definitely easier in the personal life, is you eliminate takers. You don't have time for takers because they will just suck you dry. And you all know who I'm talking about, where you spend 90% of your time with 10% of the people. You should be spending, 90% of your time with the 90% or 100% of the givers, not the takers. So, and it causes stress and anxiety and all sort of stuff. So think about that, and if you need to, sort of think about that in a very black and white terms, and remove the takers and give yourself to the givers. So that's another thing. So Chris, to me, is a huge giver. Someone who does iron sharpens iron is going to be a giver. The next thing is intentionality. So in order to make all this happen and take it from a philosophy to execution is intentionality. So don't just listen to some of these things, but actually execute on them. And again, for some of you, it may be literally writing down giver column, taker column, and you can do it on your personal life and your professional life, and sort of think about that. And then who are you spending your time with? Because unfortunately, if you're not intentional, I guarantee you're spending more time with takers than you are givers. And that's wrong on every level. So really important to think about. So again, be as practical as you need to. Everyone's got a different style. Some people just do it in their mind, but hold yourself accountable. to whatever you decide. So maybe it's something you do with a partner, maybe it's something you do with your iron sharpens iron friend, whomever. But I think it'll be helpful to hold yourself accountable so you actually do the execution. Because again, you hear things like this, you're like, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I should do that. And if I were to check in on you, you know, did you do it? And for most people, probably not. So definitely allow that challenge to happen, because that's the way to improvement and just becoming a better leader and a better person. So again, find someone. If someone didn't come to your mind that's already in that role, then you probably don't have someone. So if you did an iron sharpens iron type friend, it would have come snapped at you. If you didn't, it means you need to work on it. So identify someone who might play that role for you. And it's a two-way street. And then you go out and think about those life givers and takers and make those choices and spend your time with givers. Eliminate to the extent that you can all the takers. You're going to find your leadership goes way up. You're going to find your, I hate kind of the word stress and anxiety, but I think you know what I'm saying. The stress and anxiety levels come down a little bit. And life is amazing when you're around a bunch of givers. And so I just love spending time with givers. And then what does that make you do? You want to give back. And so everyone's like given to one another. It's kind of like an ideal marriage relationship where you're trying to outgive one another. And, you know, that's when you sort of have this marital harmony. But when you're each trying to take, that's when you get a lot of strife. And so it applies that same principle, you know, to every relationship, personal and professional. So really be intentional about your actions. So that's really it. Pretty simple, yet not done often or often enough. So go out and do it. I would love to hear about your experience. So if you listen to this, lessons from my mentor, and it actually do something and it makes a difference, I would love to hear about it. And you can drop me a note or communicate with me, however is your favorite style. So iron sharpens iron, iron sharpens iron. Don't forget that. It's an easy, easy visual. Hey, thanks for listening. And I hope you find this beneficial.